welcome to episode number 78 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. This is Jason Finelli, the esports and gaming insider for Fox PHL The Gambler. Hoping you all had a wonderful Christmas holiday for those that celebrate. Hope you had a wonderful Kwanzaa for those that celebrate that. If you don't celebrate either one, I hope you had a great weekend last weekend. Took the week off to celebrate Christmas with my family. Had tried to get on, wanted to do a couple of things, but by the end of the week, I just really enjoyed the idea of being off. So I took the week to enjoy that. I'm now ready, refreshed, ready to go with you just before 2021 becomes 2022. This is actually posting directly on New Year's Eve, so it can't get much closer to the new year than that. And I figured this would be the best time to do the 2021 Wiz Wit Awards. Yes, that's right. It is the last episode of the year. So it is about time that we talk about the best games of the year in this one person's humble opinion. I have 7 specialty awards, just like last year. One of them is different. But we are doing 7 specialty awards in the first segment, and then we will get into my top 10 games of the year, 10 through 6 in segment number 1, and 5 through 1, I don't know why I couldn't say that, 5 through 1 in segment number 3. But before I do that, we are not going to do the 6 and 60 seconds this week, because there really isn't a whole lot of headlines to really talk about in this week between Christmas and New Year's. But I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor of Cheesesteaks and Controllers that I normally read at the end of the 6 and 60 seconds, and that is Ghost Shaver. The Ghost Shaver is designed to feel like an extension of your arm, allowing users to reach anywhere on the head, face, or body. Its precision cutting system gives you a close and smooth shave every single time, thanks to 5 different rotary flex action super thin blades and a patented handle design that fits into the palm of your hand precisely. Go to ghostshaver.com to check it out and get yours. That's Ghost Shaver, a shave above the rest. Yes, there it is. That is Ghost Shaver. Thank you for that, and thank you for your sponsorship throughout the entirety of 2021. Really do appreciate you backing this train as it begins its journey to the top of the podcast charts, because I will settle for nothing less. But let's get into it. Let's get into the 2021 Wiz Wit Awards for the year, marking the best and brightest in video games this year. We'll get into some things about how this is going to be a little weird compared to other lists, but I promise you, I've done this research extensively. I have really thought about what I wanted to put in this list, and it is time to get moving. So first off, the first award we have here is not really so much an award. It's more of a acknowledgement of where a lot of my gaming time went in 2021. That is the Fortnite Award for Outstanding Fortnite Achievement in the Field of Fortnite Excellence, obviously going to Fortnite. Now, I bring this up because, obviously, this game did not come out in 2021. It's been out since the end of 2017. But, believe me when I tell you, it has been one of the biggest games of 2021 for me. I did a slight calculation a couple of weeks ago about Fortnite and how much I have played it since I began in Chapter 2, Season 5 is when I began playing it for the first time. First, I was playing it alone, and then I had some friends join in as well, and then all of a sudden, we were playing Fortnite every single night in trios or groups or what have you. I would not be surprised, and I will total this for the tweet when this goes out tomorrow. I would not be surprised if I have 200 to 300 hours in Fortnite throughout the year, just based on how many times I logged in with friends, or I played with myself, played by myself in solo matches. I have in this year and change, since we're in the 30th, and I began playing like December the 6th of last year. I have 125 something solo wins and bunch. It's just all of my, like, I tried Fortnite in 2018, season 4 of chapter 1, And I dug it, but I kind of fell out. I only played like 77, 78 solos, and then I was like, I'm not really feeling this. But man, did Chapter 2 Season 5 change my mind in a big way, and I have been in ever since. I've made it so that the in-game events are appointment viewing for me. I've been here for all of them. I've spent a decent amount of money in the item shop. I haven't calculated that yet. I'm kind of afraid to be honest. And yeah, it's been a fun game for me. It's been a way to reconnect with some pals through the magic of online gaming, something I haven't done in years. We have a lot of fun. We laugh, we joke, we cheer when we win, we grumble when we lose. It's a good time. And I'm really thankful to Fortnite for that. So I just wanted to acknowledge Fortnite in the beginning of this, because 2021 in video games for me cannot be spoken about without mentioning Fortnite in some regard. So the Fortnite Award for Outstanding Fortnite Achievement in the field of Fortnite excellence goes to Fortnite, and that is the last time I will say that word in this podcast, I hope. So going on to the actual first award of our show this evening. This award's called the Perfect Bite, and I'm giving this award to my favorite moment of the year when it comes to reveals, trailers, or like moments in presentations, whether it be an E3 trailer or E3 event or something like that, or Game Awards, that kind of thing. My favorite single moment for trailers in the year 2021, and that without much argument, honestly, is the final Super Smash Bros. Ultimate reveal being Sora from Kingdom Hearts. The fact that Nintendo teased this in a Nintendo Direct where we thought we were going to get it, and then we had an extra 2 weeks to kind of think about who we thought it was going to be. And then finally, on October the 5th, the trailer dropped. The entire thing was staged perfectly. It started with the Mii Fighters trailers just to make us wait that much longer, and the trailer itself was a slow build until you see the Keyblade for the first time, and then absolute pandemonium across the internet. People were going absolutely biscuits for this thing. They losing their biscuits for this thing, for Sora making it in. The stories about how he was the most requested fighter, and they had all this work they had to do to get it done, and the fact that negotiations started in an elevator at an award show in beginning of 2020, late 2019. Just wonderful things. I actually had the opportunity for GameSpot to do a full retrospective on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It included some quotes from both Disney and Square Enix about the Sora inclusion. And Tetsuya Nomura, who is the director of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, mentioned that he wanted to do Mr. Iwata proud, and he thinks that this would do it, and I agree 100%. So this moment, I mean, Smash Brothers has always been a big game for me, has been since the Melee days, in the early aughts, the early 2000s. So to see this bow wrapped up, I would assume wrapped up so succinctly, with such an excellent reveal, the perfect character to end Smash Brothers, and lock that world, as the pun goes. It was awesome. Everything about it was great. And then showing it to my daughter after she got home from school that day, knowing who Sora was because she played Kingdom Hearts 3 with me, and seeing that he was coming to Super Smash Brothers, it was really, really cool to see that reaction from her too. So, Perfect Bite. My favorite moment of the year, as far as trailers go, was Sora coming to Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Next award is called Back for Seconds. This is my favorite remake or remaster for the year. Had a couple of choices here, but ultimately I went with one of my favorite gaming trilogies of all time, and that is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Anytime I can play more Mass Effect is fine by me. I love that series to death. I will defend it to the death, at least the original trilogy. I admittedly have not played Andromeda yet. I was scared to when it first came out, but now I think I'm ready. I think that's a 2022 goal for me, is to get through Andromeda before the next one starts to get a little more information, whatever that may be. But the original trilogy is a seminal moment in my gaming life. First one in 2007. I went into it because of BioWare. Jade Empire is one of my favorite games of all time, so I trusted them with a space epic. And they knocked it out of the park. I've beaten Mass Effect 1, probably 10 times. And then Mass Effect 2 in 2010 and 3 in 2012 just continued that legacy for me. I was a ending defender back in 2012 when that whole brouhaha happened. It is a very special trilogy for me, and I am very, very happy, or was very, very happy to relive those games again back in May. So the best remake or remaster of the year, back for seconds, Wiz Wit Award goes to Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Next up, we have what's called the Chef's Kiss, and this is my favorite indie game of the year, or a game that I did not expect to really like, or one that I hadn't really heard of, but one that took me completely by surprise. There are indie games in my top 10 games. This one is one where it kind of flew under my radar, and then when I played it, I was like, wow, this is awesome, and everybody needs to play it. But I wanted to, it's not in my top 10, but I wanted to acknowledge it with this award. So the Chef's Kiss goes to Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan by Manavoid. This is a game where it's basically like an RPG with platforming in between, but instead of actually fighting characters, you're talking them through their problems and trying to bring color back into their world. The dialogue is very well written. Every character has its own issues that are rooted in real life issues being felt by people every single day. It's a wonderful story with very good RPG turn-based combat gameplay, a unique combat system, and I say combat in quotes, unlike anything I've ever played before, but also that story is very, very good. Couple of issues with the platforming, like sometimes you get stuck on a cliff, or a couple other little bugs here and there, but nothing game-breaking and nothing that will frustrate you to the point where you don't want to play anymore. This is, if you need a game that wraps you up in a warm hug, or gives you that Ted Lasso-esque feeling of, this is a really nice game that just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan is the game for you. So that wins the Chef's Kiss Wiz Wit Award for 2021. Go play it. And if you want a little more of my opinion of it, check out my review of the game over at GameSpot. Next up, we have the Extra Cheese Wiz Wit Award, and this is my favorite DLC of the year, my favorite expansion or downloadable content for the year 2021. Now, obviously, Sora being mentioned earlier, you would think it was Sora, and this award actually almost changed this week with something that I'm playing right now, but I'll get into that in a little bit after I talk about the actual winner. And the actual winner is the follow-up to the 2020 Wiz Wit Game of the Year winner, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I loved Yuffie's story. I loved everything about it. I loved going through Midgar as her, jumping, doing her ninjutsu, her parkour, acrobatics, seeing Midgar in a whole different way, living that story with her and Sonnen, seeing characters from a different perspective, getting into the deep ground sort of thing where some folks who've liked Final Fantasy VII throughout its entire compilation start to get worried that they're even mentioned, that sort of thing. Loved every second of it. The final boss fight I thought was amazing, and the way that story ended on a cliffhanger was cool. Plus the extra 5 to 6 minute trailer that we got following our normal heroes, Cloud and company, setting up Remake Part 2 whenever that should happen, was really, really cool as well. So I loved Intergrade. I loved every bit of it. More Final Fantasy VII Remake is never an issue, and plus the new traversal mechanics, the new team-up mechanics, and some of the boss fights were just really, really awesome. So, Extra Cheese, best DLC, goes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, almost replaced by Kingdoms of Amalur Fatesworn, the extra chapter being added to Kingdoms of Amalur to set up that sequel. I'm loving every minute of that, too. It's more Amalur, which to some people might be a detriment, but I think the things that they're adding to it or the risks that they're taking in the Fatesworn DLC are definitely evident and definitely cool. But that did not win yet. A, because I haven't finished it, and B, because Intergrade was just that dang good. So Extra Cheese, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade. Next is Missed Meal. This is a award that I give to the game that came out in 2021 that angers me the most that I didn't get to play it. And unfortunately, this year, 2021, there were a lot of games that are in my blind spots. In fact, I went back and looked at the nominees for the Game Awards 2021 Game of the Year. I finished exactly 0 of them. It is not something that I am proud of, something that I definitely need to remedy in 2022. Get through some backlog in those times where there's not a whole lot going on. Maybe try and put Fortnite down. Oh, I did mention it again. Shice. Try to stop playing Fortnite for a minute and play some other games. But the one that I think angers me the most, that I haven't had a chance to play, that's Metroid Dread. I really, really want to play this game. I have the special edition with all the cool stuff inside. I bought it the day it came out. I have the amiibo. I have everything I need, or everything that you could want when it comes to Metroid Dread, but I haven't even opened the box, and it's killing me. So early 2022, I plan to fix this. But you need to understand that, like I said before, this is a list that was way longer than I would have liked it to be as far as things that I missed in 2022. I missed Deathloop. I missed It Takes Two. I missed Forza Horizon 5 I haven't touched yet. I missed things that I wanted to play myself, like Neo The World Ends With You and Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So there's a lot of catching up I need to do, and there's just not enough time on Earth to do it. But I am prioritizing Metroid Dread in 2022 to make sure that I play that as soon as possible. Then again, my track record is not great. The missed meal for 2020 was Hades, and I haven't played that yet either. So just bear with me. I hope to play Metroid Dread as soon as possible. But the missed meal for 2021 is indeed Metroid Dread. And then finally, tomorrow's main course. That is my favorite game that is due out soon. The game that I'm most looking forward to, my most anticipated for 2022. Last year I chose God of War Ragnarok, and I'm still anticipating that. And I didn't feel right picking it again because I felt that I wanted to get something else, some attention that it deserves. So I picked one that I think has a release date that is pretty much set in stone. One that we're not going to have to worry about it not coming out. It's coming on the date that it's selected. It's one of the biggest pillars of a loaded February 2022, and that is Horizon Forbidden West. I loved the original Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn was one of my favorite games of 2017. Still one of the most enduring games I have ever played. The fact that at the time I named Breath of the Wild my game of the year for 2017, but I have put more thought into Horizon Forbidden West and into Zero Dawn and its story and the twists that it takes and the things that you learn than any of the story beats in Breath of the Wild. And I think that if I were to go back and make that change, I might do it. The Frozen Wilds definitely helped, the extra DLC pack. Not to say that Breath of the Wild's DLC wasn't good, but Horizon's DLC was awesome. And now we have Forbidden West's coming in February finally, after 2-3 years of being teased, or not about 2 years of being teased about it. By the time it comes out, maybe a year and a half. And I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to dig in. I'm ready to see what's going on, what Guerrilla has cooked up for us. I'm ready to kick some butt with Aloy again. And the sooner I can do that, the better. So tomorrow's main course, the game I'm looking forward to the most in 2022 is easily Horizon Forbidden West. And that is our first segment. I will be back shortly with segment number 2 after the small ad break you're about to hear, talking about games 10 through 6 in my top 10 games of 2021. Stick around. All right, we're back. Welcome to the 2021 Wiz Wit Awards, presented by Cheesesteaks and Controllers. Cheesecakes and Controllers is a different show. And also presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts. So let's dig into my top 10 games of the year, starting with number 10. This one actually changed. This one is a late comer to my list. It came out in January. It's been out the entire year, but it took me a little while to actually play it. I'm a little behind, as was very much evident in the missed meal section of the last segment. There are some games that I have missed, and I've tried this week, or as I've been off, to try and catch up and at least play a little bit of a bunch of games that I wanted to check out. This game that I'm about to mention was the first one that I decided to start this endeavor with, and it's as far as I got because this game is wonderful, and it immediately made an impression on me that knocked off the original number 10 on this list, which would make number 11 the bubble game Far Cry 6, for those wondering. But number 10, Game of the Year for 2021, the Wiz Wit number 10, is Loop Hero by Devolver. If you have not played Loop Hero yet, you need to do this. It is one of the most unique takes on a role-playing action game that I have ever seen in my life. So you basically have it's a roguelike, so everything's randomly generated. You have a random loop of land that your character will just consistently travel through. And the more battles that he wins, the more time that he's there, the more you can add to this loop. You will gain better items and armor and weapons as you battle. You'll add things like groves and forests and cemeteries and vampire towers and all this other stuff, making the enemies stronger and stronger and stronger as you grow stronger as well. And eventually, once you fill in the entire map, or you fill the bar for the map with enough stuff, then the boss will appear and you can fight the boss and move on. It's an ingenious concept, one that really, really, really sticks with you. And it's one of those games where you're just like, okay, just one more loop. Let's see what I can do. And all of a sudden you've played it for 2 hours. It's hard to really describe how enchanting this game is until you dive into it. I thought, I hadn't played it since January, since it came out in January. And people were raving about it then, and they were raving about it again at the end of the year. Good friend of mine decided to pick it up, and he hasn't stopped talking about it. Made his top 3 for 2021. So I thought, all right, this will be the week. I'll check it out, see if I like it. If not, at least I tried it, and I'll move on to something else. But no, man, it is worth every single bit of the praise that it has gotten, and it is one that you should definitely put on your radar if you have not done so already. I'm playing it on PC, Steam. I know it's on Nintendo Switch, and I believe it's coming to the other consoles if it's not already there yet. So if you have not checked out Loop Hero, make sure that you do. It is well worth your time, and it sneaks in at number 10 on my Wiz Wit Games of the Year. Number 9 on the list is actually a first for cheesesteaks and controllers. Going back to last year and this year, it took this many games to get here, but we now have our first ever mobile title in my top 10 games of the year for the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast. Number 9, Wiz Wit, Fantasian, an Apple Arcade exclusive. So those with iOS phones who want to check out the Apple Arcade can get it there. It's Chrono Trigger. It's Chrono Trigger for a new age on your phone. It's a wonderful classic JRPG story told by one of the masters of the genre with music from one of the masters of gaming music. It's like putting on it's like putting on your favorite shirt from when you were a kid and it still fits somehow, or getting on that bike for the first time in years and still knowing how to ride it. It's a wonderful, wonderful JRPG, classic Final Fantasy Chrono Trigger JRPG with a wonderful story and some of the coolest world design I've ever seen. Now, if you've never heard of this, what they did was they built actual dioramas of the world they were trying to convey, took pictures of it, and made those dioramas the world in the game. So when you're walking through the worlds on all the different paths, you can tell that the buildings were, from real life, and the trees were model trees using these dioramas. It looks just like them. It's amazing what they've done with the world in Fantasian. So if you have a phone, if you have an iPhone, if you're an iOS device, and you want to check out something and you want to scratch that JRPG itch, I do implore you to check out Fantasian. Do the 30-day Apple Arcade free trial. I think it's $4.99 after the free trial if you like the game enough. It's got 2 parts. First part came out in April. Second part came out in, I believe, October, I want to say. So both the parts are out now. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. It's a full-blooded JRPG on your phone. Make sure you check it out. Do I hope it comes to consoles? Maybe a little more fleshed out? Yes, I do. But the controls on the phone are good enough that you'll be able to handle them. They're comfortable. They're not going to hurt you. And it's one of the best JRPGs I've played in a very long time. So number 9, Wiz Wit, 2021, number 9 game of the year is Fantasian. My number 8 game of the year. This is a game from a genre that I have loved my entire life, and I don't know that I've been able to put one on here yet. There was not a lot going on in this genre this year. There were a couple of notable games to talk about, but this one easily stood head and tails above the rest. Let's talk about Guilty Gear Strive, a game that is as beautiful as it is ruthless. It is as tough as it is easy, which is weird to say, but it's definitely one of those easy to win, easy to play, hard to master sort of fighting games. I can see where they've toned it down from previous Guilty Gear installments, making it easier for more folks to play. The online ranking system is very, very weird. I will say that, but the story mode is great. The combat is great. Even watching this game at an esports event, at a big e-gaming event, at CEO or whatever, is fantastic. Everything about Guilty Gear is firing on all cylinders, and the more they add to it, the more characters they add to it, the better the strategy gets, and the better the players get. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. I really, really want you, if you play one fighting game this year, to play Guilty Gear Strive. It pains me to say that because I am a huge Virtua Fighter aficionado, and Ultimate Showdown came out this year. That would be better suited for my Back for Seconds award that went to Mass Effect, but that's a good one too. But if you're looking for some fighting game action and you only have room for one on your hard drive, make it Guilty Gear Strive, my Wiz Wit 2021 number 8 game of the year. Number 7 on the list, number 7 Wiz Wit Game of the Year 2021 is technically, I guess, the second mobile game to ever hit this list. But I played it mostly on Nintendo Switch, so that's where my thought process goes when I think of this game. Number 7 is Pokemon Unite. Pokemon and MOBA. It makes way too much sense to have not happened sooner, but the fact that it is now here in 2021... it is a wonderful, wonderful game. It's an easy enough MOBA that Pokemon fans can get into it, but it's a deep enough MOBA that the people who like the strategy of the multiplayer online battle arena games can really sink their teeth into it. More so with the additional Pokemon that have come out since the game had launched in the summertime, at the end of summertime. Admittedly, there were some balance issues. Greedent launched and threw the entire game into disarray until it was nerfed into oblivion. But so Tencent needs to work on their releases. But the game is undeniably good. The setup is very, very good. The goal scoring mechanic is a great way to counter or to replicate the tower breaking of a League of Legends or something like that. It just makes a lot of sense. It makes sense that Pokemon is a MOBA. It makes sense that it's an easier MOBA to learn than other ones that are out there. It's a perfect stepping stone into the genre with recognizable characters and a game that I think will last a very, very long time. Honestly, I think there's a lot of power behind this name. I think there's a lot of potential behind this game, and I think it'll just keep growing and growing and growing. It could be one of the next big esports out there if Tencent continues to, and Timmy continue to support it. More Pokemon, more abilities, more variety in how the roles work, stuff like that. I think there is a lot of future for Pokemon Unite. They just need to keep supporting it the way that they already are. But it's good enough to make my number 7 of the top 10 games of 2021 Wiz Wit Award. Moving on down to number 6. This is the final game of this segment, segment number 2. Number 6 on the Wiz Wit Top 10 Games of 2021 countdown with the Wiz Wit Awards. Like, I really have to get that right. Is a game that also came out in January, but this one I played and I finished and I loved it to death. And I think that the fact that it came out in January might be hurting it, as it may be out of people's minds. But I want to remind you and make sure that it's there when you're thinking about the best games of this year, and that is Hitman 3. Hitman 3 is wonderful. I came into this game not the biggest expert on the Hitman franchise. I knew who Agent 47 was. I knew what his deal was. But I did not expect the essentially open world playground that I got when it came to going through the different missions of this game. The mansion mission, the name of it eludes me at the moment, but the mission where you basically have to solve a murder mystery while also tending to your target is phenomenal gameplay. One of the best single chapters in any games I played this year. And that's just one small microcosm of the entire thing. There's another mission at a winery that leads to some real crazy nonsense with the great press, if you want to use it like that. It's very, very silly, but it's also very, very serious when it wants to be, and I think it tells a very, very good story with some nice twists and turns right up to the end. So if you're looking for a game that came out earlier this year and you might have forgotten about it and you want to fix and get into it before the year ends, Hitman 3 is a devilish little playground of assassination and anarchy that I feel like will make a lot of people very happy to go through. So make sure Hitman 3 is on your list when thinking about games that came out this year. It is number 6 on the list of the Wiz Wit Awards Top 10 Games for 2021. And it marks the end of this segment. So we will be back shortly after the ad you're about to hear with numbers 5 through 1, my favorite game of the year, and the 4 games that were good but didn't quite make it. My top 5 coming up after the break. Talk to you then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the top 5 games of the year 2021 in the humble opinion of me. These are the Wiz Wit Awards from the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast for the year 2021. If you have listened so far, just to catch you up on where we are, the Specialty Awards, the Fortnite Award for Outstanding Fortnite Achievement in the Field of Fortnite Excellence went to Fortnite. The Perfect Bite went to the Sora Super Smash Bros. Ultimate trailer. Back for Seconds, the Best Remaster of the Year or Remake of the Year, went to Mass Effect Legendary Edition. The Chef's Kiss, a under the radar indie game under the radar game that blew me away, was Rainbow Billy and the Curse of the Leviathan. Extra Cheese, the best DLC, was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. The Missed Meal, the game from 2021 I'm most angry about not playing, is Metroid Dread. Tomorrow's main course, the 2022 game I'm most excited about, is Horizon Forbidden West. And then in my top 10 list so far, 10 was Loop Hero, 9 was Fantasian, 8 was Guilty Gear Strive, 7 was Pokemon Unite, and 6 was Hitman 3. So now on to number 5. And earlier, in the other half of this top 10, I talked about the JRPG and how Fantasian was the most unique and mechanically sound classic JRPG I've played in a long time. It is the truth, but one JRPG overcame it this year and has earned the number 5 spot on this list, and that is Ruined King, a League of Legends story. I am in awe of how Ruined King opens the door for exploring the League of Legends lore and backstory in the manner that it does. This game gives me a whole new appreciation for 6 characters and a couple others from that universe who otherwise would have been lost in the shuffle of the 150 champions in that game's catalog. If between Arcane and this game, if Riot can do what it did here for the other champions in this game, I think League of Legends and its universe are in for a huge influx of new players. I know I am tempted to try League of Legends for the first time. And if I do, I'm going to pick one of the 6 from this game. I'm leaning towards Eloy. I think it's how you say it. The Sea Kraken Priestess, the Kraken Priestess with the control over the squid tentacles, or Yasuo, the Samurai. Loved Yasuo in this game. But the story is wonderful, how it brings in all these different elements and characters from League of Legends. I say that Fantasian was a classic JRPG, but this one was better because, yes, it is turn-based JRPG combat, but the lane system that it employs, where if you pick a lane attack, you can make it more powerful, but it takes longer to come out, or you can make it less powerful, but it comes out faster, and you can push and pull enemies throughout the lanes so they're not in the territories that will give buffs when they come up in the turn order. It's just magnificent use of the lane system from League of Legends in a different format. It's not entirely the same, obviously. You're not traveling through these lanes. You're just putting people in those lanes and supporting them where you can. But it's just a phenomenal game, a phenomenal take on a pre-established franchise, and one that I feel will pay dividends should other games that attempt this do the same thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. If you have not played it, I highly recommend that you do. Ruin King, a League of Legends story, number 5 on my list of best games of 2021. Number 4 might surprise some people that it's so high, and I will admit that there is some bias. I mean, obviously, it's my list. Every one of them is biased, but the fact that this is so high, there's definitely some bias here, and I will get into what that is. And that is number 4 on my list for the Wiz Wit top 10 games of 2021 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Now, it was a normal run-of-the-mill Nintendo remaster / remake. Bowser's Fury is very, very cool and a very interesting window into what Mario could be as the franchise evolves. But I'm going to be honest with you. The reason this is so high is because it's the first game that my daughter and I played together. And when I say play together, I don't mean like Kingdom Hearts 3, where I played it and she watched and she told me what to do and we did the Let It Go segment 40 million times. I mean, she had a controller in her hand, I had a controller in mine, and we played through this entire game together. And I loved every second of it. Watching her get into it, watching her, she always picked Princess Peach. That's her favorite. I would expect nothing less. Watching her jump over enemies and grab coins, and the times where she beat me in score for the one mission the one stage that we were in where she had a higher score than me. The look of pure enjoyment on her face. I remembered those days as a kid playing these games. I remembered how I felt when I would do stuff like that, when I would beat my parents in games, or I would get a high score, or even like going to the arcades and beating the older kids in the fighting games like Tekken and stuff like that. I felt it again through her, and that alone solidified this game in top 5 for the entire year. Is it the objectively one of the top 5 games of the year? No. But for me, it's my list, dang it. The feeling that I got playing this game with my daughter was hard to describe. So that definitely gave it some points, some big old brownie points, because this is a game that I was able to go through with my kiddo. The first game that we played together, each one with a controller in hand, ever. So Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is number 4 on my list of the Wiz Wit Awards top 10 games of 2021, strictly because it was the family affair that Super Mario is always advertised to be. So if you have a little one and you want to play something with her for the first time, and you have a Switch, him or her, excuse me, and you have a Nintendo Switch, that is definitely a game to do it with. All right, here we are. We're in top 3, baby. The number 3, top 3. Sorry, number 3, top 3. I said the same thing over again. Sorry about that. Number 3 on the list of the Wiz Wit Awards top 10 games of 2021 Also would have fit in the Chef's Kiss territory from earlier, a game that was under my radar until I watched a couple of trailers and decided to check it out, and completely knocked my lights out with how good it was. Let's talk about Genosha. So Genosha is a single-player social deduction game. So think about Among Us, but if nobody else was playing with you. And you're stuck on a ship with 14 other characters. Some of them have been replaced by an insidious alien race called the Gnos. And they are trying to take over the ship and offer it as a sacrifice to their god. I'm sorry, the god is Gnos. The aliens are Genosha, the titular Genosha. I always get that mixed up. And it's up to you to weed out who the aliens are, put them in cold sleep, basically cryogenically freeze them so they can't do anything. And every time that you leave one available or one around before the end of the night, it kills someone in the group. So you eliminate someone in the group, and then someone dies in the group, and you slowly whittle away at everyone until you're either left with more Genosha than non-Genosha, or more non than there are, or however it works out, and one of the sides wins. And you just continually loop over and over and over again, doing the social deduction, casually finding out little story bits about the people that you're on the ship with along the way. And you don't finish the game until you fill out all of their little pieces of story. So what it does, it creates this interesting concept revolved around repetition and around, monotony, because there are times where you'll do a loop over and over again and you won't see any story bits, or you'll set up the parameters to get a story bit, but then the in-game AI will throw you a wrench into your plans and eliminate you or eliminate the person you were trying to keep alive to get that story bit. So you have to do it again. But among all that repetition and monotony, when there is a story piece that plays out, when you finally get a story bit, when you finally fulfill those parameters, you sit up in your chair and you're like, oh man, something's different. We're going to check this out. We're going to really zone in on this. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's one of the biggest jolts in gaming this year. It's a game that I have not stopped thinking about since I played it in March or April. Having reviewed it. What did I review it for? Was it for Ven? Might have been for Ven before they shut down. And then I wrote about it again for GameSpot's Best of 2021 series about that weaponization of monotony and how it creates a storytelling engine that is second to none. So you can check that out over at GameSpot as well. It is a fantastic game. It's different. It's going to be different than anything you've ever played before, but stick it out even through the weird, anime nonsense, because there is some weird anime nonsense. One of the characters is a beluga whale in an astronaut suit with a helmet filled with water. I'm not making that up. So there is some weirdness, but if you can get through that and let it tell you the story that it wants to tell, man, is it good. So Genosha, number 3 on the list of top 10 games of the year, the Wiz Wit Awards on the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast. Moving on to number 2. I debated this for a while, and I will get into why number 1 beat out this particular game in a minute. But number 2 on my list of games of the year 2021 is Halo Infinite. Just missed out on being number 1, and again, I'll explain why. I loved Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I loved Halo Infinite's campaign, what I've played of it. And I love everything about the game, but it's not hooking me like my number 1 game did. My number 1 game made me want to come back to this desk and boot up my console and play it every minute of the day. Halo Infinite's not doing that. I love it. I love the open world concept of the campaign. I love playing the multiplayer with my friends when we're not playing, the other game that I mentioned earlier. But something about that campaign is just not, it hasn't pulled me in. It hasn't made me want to, just drop everything else and play it like the other game, like number 1 did, and we'll get into that. It's not that the story is bad. The story is pretty good. It's not that the action is bad. The action is definitely not. It's just something about the number 1 game that bumps Halo Infinite down. Please understand that this is like a 10, 9.9 scenario. Halo Infinite could have just as easily been number one on this list. And it almost was, with the multiplayer pushing it over the edge. But something about number one, which I'll mention in a minute, just hooked me more. And I'm still lives in my head after finishing it. Again, not to say that Halo Infinite is a bad game. It is definitely not. Definitely worthy of any accolades that it gets. Number 2 of my top 10 games of the year, nothing to sneeze at. But there was one better. So Halo Infinite, number 2, game of the year, Wiz Wit Awards on the Cheesesteaks Controllers podcast. Play the multiplayer. It's free. Get the campaign. Play that too. Absolutely love it. Tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. But there was one game that I liked more in 2021, excuse me. And so, without further ado, my game of the year, the Wiz Wit Award for Game of the Year 2021, presented by the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm shocked too. When this game was first announced back in June, I had no idea what I thought about this game. I was worried because of Marvel Avengers from the other Square Enix West studio. I was worried it was going to be another game like that. I heard it was more story-driven. I heard it was more of a single-player adventure. I got a little more excited. I realized it was from the Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided studio. Deus Ex Human Revolution, my 2012 game of the year. I think it was 2012. Yeah, 2012 game of the year. So that got me a little more excited. And then I played it, and it blew me away. The story is incredible. The combat is good enough. It's not, the best combat I played this year. That probably goes to Halo. But the story beats out anything else that I played this year. The way that these characters are written and the impact that they have in their words and the story beats that play through. There's a moment with Star-Lord and Gamora later on in the game that I still think about word for word. I've watched it numerous times on YouTube. It's so well written. It's so well acted. The characters themselves look natural when they're doing it. And then it takes this emotional depth, this emotional oomph, and it parallels it with complete silliness. Like some of the weird posing that they do and the big action moments, and the fact that you could feasibly activate your special ability and start fighting enemies to the tune of flock of seagulls or something like that. It's the fact that they were able on this narrative team to make things equally silly and fun and lighthearted and emotionally resonant when it needed to be. It was an absolute achievement, and it's a game that I will definitely play again in 2022. I just have a feeling I'm going to want to play through it again. I loved every single one of these characters. I have been saying, Scut and Flark ever since it came out. I will continue to do that. I have a feeling. And it's a wonderful game. It's a complete surprise. And I think that might have an idea. I might have a thing or something to do with it coming to number one. Halo Infinite was not a surprise. I knew Halo Infinite was going to be good. I did not know that Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be good. And when it was so good that I couldn't stop playing it and I had to finish it and I wanted to go right back into it when I was done, that to me is what puts it over the edge. So, my game of the year, the Wiz Wit Award for Game of the Year 2021 goes to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, making Square Enix, the publisher, 2-0 for Game of the Year for this podcast, with Final Fantasy VII Remake last year, and now Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy this year. Who knows what 2022 will bring? I wonder what game Square Enix will come out with that will blow me away, and I'll make my number one game of the year next year. Looking good for you, Forspoken, or whatever else they're going to come out with. Obviously, there were a lot of games missing from this list, so if I do an exercise a couple years from now where I revisit this year with games that I may have caught up with since then, I suspect Psychonauts 2 would have placed somewhere in here. I suspect Deathloop would have placed somewhere in here. Metroid Dread probably would have placed somewhere in here. But I got to go with what I played. It would be dishonest of me to put anything on this list that I didn't actually play. So, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is phenomenal. You should play it. Well worth my Game of the Year. Well worthy of my Game of the Year. And that is it for this. So let me know on Twitter at BigManFinelli what your winners for these categories are. Did you have a favorite trailer of the year? What was your favorite remake? What's maybe DLC? What game did you miss that you want to play in 2022? What are you most looking forward to in 2022? Give me your top 10 or your top 5. Lay them on me. I love talking about this stuff. I love debating it. As long as it's nice debate and we're not calling each other names, not trying to do that. Would love to hear your opinions on things that I might not have even thought of that I should go back and check out. But there it is. Those are the Wiz Wit Awards for 2021 on to 2022 and whatever the gaming industry has for us there. So this has been episode number 78 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio, and also wherever you get your podcasts, be it Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at BigManFinelli. Tell me how wrong I am about my choices and what you would choose instead. Feel free to hit me up if you are esports. I am esports. I don't know if you're esports, but I'm esports. And I look forward to doing everything in 2022 with you on this show. The games we'll play, the esports we'll watch, and everything in between. So, signing off now. Have a wonderful, safe, and happy, healthy new year. I will, as this is dropping on New Year's Eve, you have not celebrated yet, so make sure you're safe. Staying safe out there, staying at home with your immediate family or going out with a close-knit group of your loved ones. Hope it's a safe and happy night. Hope you have a great weekend and a great week getting back into the swing of things right behind it. And we will be back next week with episode number 79, getting right back on the train of all things esports and video games. Until then, goodbye.